Hello, everyone. Welcome back to WTF1, and we are here to give you a roundup of testing on day two. I'm joined by Hannah. Hannah, how are you doing today? How are things?
I'm doing great. It was an early start, but that's what we love. It's testing. So we're getting ready for the season to kick off.
Absolutely. It's all go, and I think one of the things with testing for me personally, I don't know if you'll agree with this watching this, or Hannah, if you'll even agree. In prospect, it's very exciting. You know, seeing Formula One cars back on track, doing their thing, seeing the drivers get back on the horse. Well, the car, I suppose, is a better metaphor. Um,
No, let's go with the horse.
and then you end up with quite a, fairly mundane process, I would say. Like, obviously, there's interesting things pop up throughout it. Things will go wrong with cars. We've seen a few of them today. But for the most part, it looks like the cars are more reliable than ever, which, whilst is good for the teams, maybe doesn't make testing quite as exciting as it could be. But there are a few things to talk about. So we're going to go through team by team, have a little discussion. And this is only going to be a little short stream. Don't worry, we won't keep you for too long. We did a 10-hour stream yesterday. And Dre hasn't stopped talking about it since. But it's like he's run a marathon. But to be fair, it is a long and drawn out process, isn't it? So
It is a bit of a marathon in itself. So
absolutely, it's very impressive. I ate pizza twice during the day. But we'll move on. We'll start off. We'll start off with Williams, shall we?
mm.
What are you taking from their opening gambit in these testing days?
I think with Williams, Logan Sargent has been one of the standout performers of the morning, in my opinion, or just of the day in general. Um, he finished the day with over 150 laps and was P2 in the morning session, which was great to see him start that practice start on P2 in the front row of the grid. That practice start, by the way, was probably my highlight of the entire day, but we can get into that later on. I think Williams, I really underestimated. I don't know about you, but I can speak for myself because I don't necessarily know what you predicted, but I didn't predict Williams to do very well this season, and they look really strong. Their sessions have been quite consistent. So I feel like they. I mean, it's only day two, but it's looking okay for Williams.
Absolutely. It's something you won't have been aware of, Hannah, there is that I accidentally put myself. I'm going to word this very carefully. My Zoom window was on your area on the Twitch stream.
Okay.
So no one noticed that. Absolutely. I mean,
Then we just swap names for a bit. That's
yeah.
all.
How did it feel?
I had no idea about it, but it was great.
I felt a lot cooler for a little bit of
Did
time,
you?
and now
Okay.
I'm just sad again. But yeah,
Ah.
impressive stint from Sargent today. His fastest lap was on the C5, softer tires. And that's sort of it's the thing with testing. It's so difficult to put anything into context. But seeing a Williams anywhere up the top of that timing sheet is a nice thing. Do I think it
Oh
will
yeah.
last? No, I don't think it will last. But it's just nice for now. It's nice to enjoy it.
It was the
Um,
same with Albon yesterday. He was nearing the top, so
Absolutely,
it's
like
great to see.
it's just a good confidence booster. I think seeing the capacity for improvement is there, and it definitely doesn't look as weary as they have done in the past. I forgot to change the overlays, but I'm going to do it now. We're going to move on to Alpha Tauri, everybody. There you go. There's the Alpha Tauri on track. Hannah, any thoughts on the Alpha?
I mean, I will just say it one more time. The Alpha livery is beautiful. I'm just saying that to annoy Dre, I think. But we can't really tell if the Alpha Tauri are holding anything back or not. I feel like overall today they were pretty average and didn't really show. I mean, we had Sonoda at the bottom of the timesheets and De Vries near the top. And to me, that doesn't show how good the performance of the car is. It's just obviously for one reason or another they were split. So we can't really say, oh, they're looking strong or anything. So AlphaTauri a bit of a difficult one to gauge at the moment. What do you think?
Yeah, well, we were saying like how frequently would we be saying you can't really tell at the moment because it's testing and everyone's trying different engine modes and all this sort of thing. I would say fairly unremarkable so far, and I will also drop in that it's my least favorite livery, just to counter your overwhelming positivity at all times. But I think it is interesting. There's going to be a lot of looking at the difference between Sonoda and De Vries this year. I think both of them seemingly could be on fairly thin ice, not for any reason with De Vries other than Red Bull. The Red Bull family and AlphaTauri tend to have a preference for younger drivers, and he is a bit of an exception to that rule. And Sonoda really needs to be proving himself. So I think even depending on all these differences in engine modes or compounds that we're using today, I think Tsunoda will want to be seeing himself above De Vries as much as possible in any capacity this year. Next, we'll move on to Alfa Romeo. There we go. Another livery people were very keen on. Has it changed for you in person, Hannah?
No, I still
not
love
in
it.
person. It's still on a screen. It's just a slightly sunnier screen.
Has it changed on track, you mean?
Yeah, that is what I mean.
No, it hasn't. It's actually got even more beautiful. I was looking at some pictures today, and there was some beautiful palm trees going on around. It was really, the whole scene of Bahrain was screaming.
Package.
Yeah. No, I love the livery, but in terms of like their actual performance today, both Alphas, AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo, I feel like have both been very under the radar, but in a good way, because I feel like if you're not under the radar, people are talking about you and something's probably happened, with like McLaren and, Mercedes and stuff. So I think that them not really being talked about is a good thing for them, but it doesn't really give us much to talk about, does it?
Well, I would agree with you.
Apart from at the end.
Yeah.
Apart from at the end. Sorry, wait.
Hannah, you were going to get absolutely murdered in chat.
I know. Wait, that's so bad. To be fair, I was starting to like slowly stop watching testing within the last 5 minutes, which is when this thing happened.
Guys. We were preparing for you.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So please continue.
Yeah, we saw Joe top the leaderboards, and yes, he was on a softer tyre, but it's exciting. He's looking good. And then to top it all off, the car stops on track, causing a red flag. So it was actually a very eventful day for Alfa Romeo, but just in the last few minutes. But I think
bad.
I think Valtteri might have his work cut out a little bit, keeping Zhou behind him this year. I just get a feeling. I think he's going to do well. I think he's going to do well.
You feel like Zhou's going to be quite fast?
I just have a feeling. Yeah. Again, it is so easy to just look at a leaderboard in testing and go, oh, that's incredible. And it is. It's always nice. That's the thing.
Yeah.
This is how I'm classing it. It's nice to see him there. I don't think it's representative, obviously, but maybe promising signs for a team that I didn't hold out much hope for in terms of improvement this year. So that's exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's move on to Haas. Haas, they're lovely. That's a lovely overlay. Well done, Benji. Everyone say well done to Benji. What do you make of Haas's performance?
Performance, I don't know, but pit wall small, I think. That's my words. Pit wall small. Obviously, I'm really excited to see this pairing throughout the season. I think Magnussen and Hulkenberg are just going to be so interesting to watch. They both have such a lot of experience, and together they're just going to want to beat each other so much that it's going to make, I think sparks are going to fly in the Haas garage, so it was interesting to see how Hulkenberg did today. I feel like it looks pretty reasonable. I mean, I don't know about you, but I predict Haas to be about 6th or 7th in the championship. And I don't think that's too far off. They improved leaps and bounds from 21 to 22, and I think they can continue on that trend. But the talking point from Haas today was definitely them saving $250,000 on a couple of seats.
Yeah, and I think as well, because personally I've been working on watching through all of Drive to Survive today whilst watching testing and writing a script about something. So I've just got Gunter very fresh in the mind. He's got some absolutely incredible moments in this season of the show. And obviously, as we only got into the sport through Drive to Survive, didn't we? We're just dirty DTS fans. I'm joking. But I'll run you through the times. We had Hulkenberg on a 1:32.46, and that was on the C5 tyre, 68 laps. Kevin Magnussen on a 1:33.44 on the C2 tyre, 67 laps today. And I know what you're thinking. Why didn't you do that for the other ones, Ciaran, the other teams? Because I completely forgot. But yeah, I personally think we could see a positive season for Haas. And I have been doubted about saying that for a couple of months, but it's only testing, so we don't know.
I don't doubt you, Ciaran.
I appreciate that. No one should really. But something you
also.
Oh,
sorry.
No,
I was going to say, did you see Gunther Steiner's jacket today over on the Sky Sports coverage?
I did, and I absolutely hated it. So we'll move.
Oh, you did? Okay.
We'll move on to our friends, our lovely friends who bring us WTF1 these days, Aston Martin. I think it's fair to say it's been a very promising couple of days.
It's been very nice to watch. I don't know about you, I underestimated them. I did. I kind of in the back of my mind thought, is it going to be a good season? Who knows? Probably not. I think because I hope for them to do well, I kind of was just setting my expectations low, but they actually look really quite good. And I'm not mad about that at all. We obviously had some news as well about Dragovic, who will be in the car tomorrow, which I don't think people expected. And so does that mean that Stroll will be out for the race because they're wanting Dragovic to do more running? Who knows?
Well, I am the world's biggest Lance Stroll fan.
Yeah.
I will say it's looking fairly bleak from the sources we have and things we've heard people say. Bahrain next week is looking unlikely, which is a dagger through my heart. I will say so much. But we've got Fernando Alonso in the car, who I don't know what's happening. I think we all know how good he is. But I don't think any of us expected. I think we were thinking if we're going to see Alonso perform well this year, it's going to be him outperforming the car he's got and maybe getting into the top 6 every now and again, top 7. And to clarify again, testing doesn't mean much in terms of timings, but he's consistent. 2 days, big performance, big stretch from him, which he probably wasn't expecting to be doing. And he's absolutely smashing it. So I think, personally, very excited to see him in the car this season. Hannah, I assume that's also the same for you.
Absolutely.
Perfect. You gave me enough one-word answer, which means I could just show the final overlay I forgot to put up. And now we can move on
nice.
to a team who maybe aren't quite as optimistic as Aston Martin at the moment. This is McLaren. So McLaren today, they had Piastri, got a 1 minute 33.17 on the C3 tyre, 74 laps. And Norris on the C2 tyre did a 1 minute 35.52, 65 laps. Things aren't looking good for McLaren at the moment, are they, Hannah?
No, they're not. A bit mediocre, I think. Well, I mean, they went into testing already talking about them bringing upgrades, so that's not a good sign. I suppose like day one for them was very wasted because of their problem, and Lando didn't, he got minimal laps in and everything. So it's just not looking good. Today was probably just catch up from yesterday, and Zach Brown himself says that they haven't hit the target. So overall, pretty bleak for McLaren. But I suppose you could just ask the question, are they sandbagging? And then just get everyone's hopes back up again.
I think if there is a McLaren fan in your life, just tell them the sandbagging. I think it'll make conversations around the dinner table much easier. But I think the truth of it is they are in trouble. 2 years in a row, they seem to come with a car that's far behind where they should be. A general morose atmosphere around the team. People just don't seem to be happy. People don't seem to be excited. And it doesn't seem like hidden confidence. It feels like fairly open negativity towards what this car is. And you see the way they're wrestling it around the track. It doesn't look good, but we've got more on this in a video coming out tonight. So if you've already unsubscribed from us, please feel free to rescribe. And you can watch that video when it comes out because we're getting a little bit better, I promise. But we'll move on to Alpine. Now, Alpine, a team who people were fairly confident would just be 4th in the standings again. Didn't think we're going to test the top 3, but didn't think we're going to drop back in any way. And today we have had from Alpine, we've had Gasly and Ocon in the car. Gasly with a 1 minute 33.43 on a C3 tyre, 59 laps. Ocon on a 1 minute 33.49 with a C3 tyre, 49 laps. So very similar days for the two of them. Hannah, any thoughts on those guys?
I think with the Alpine, like you said, I predicted them to be 4th this season in the constructors, but they're not looking particularly strong. It's definitely not strong enough to be 4th, I guess. But is that down to how strong they are, or has some of the bottom teams just stepped it up a notch and actually overtaken Alpine in terms of 4th? Did I just say that a team overtook Alpine for 4th in the constructors and we haven't even had race 1? But I mean, who knows? Alpine just don't look very strong to me.
I think if you could possibly come up with 30 seconds more of things to talk about, because I've been told by Benji my microphone's being a little bit weird.
Okay.
Talk about delivery. What do you think of the delivery?
Oh, yeah. I mean, delivery is great. No, it's not. I don't think it's great. I think, well, no. Delivery, I think I gave it about a 6 out of 10. I like the pink livery much more. I'm excited to see it next week in Bahrain. I mean, we are in Bahrain, but for the race in Bahrain. I wish they whipped out the pink livery for testing, but that's fine that they didn't. They chose not to. But yeah, the blue is. I'm just not a fan of the blue and the pink mix, but I don't think it's ugly at
Okay,
all.
we're all sorted.
Please
You can
tell
stop
me
talking
you're.
about it a
But
little bit now.
okay,
Yeah, much
cool, cool.
appreciated.
Thank you.
That was excellent
Thanks.
work. Thank you very much for
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah, I think obviously a lot is made about Alpine, Gasly, and Ocon, how they're going to get on. I think it's going to be a year of them trying very hard to come across as PR friendly best mates. And I think maybe that will result in a nice season where nothing goes wrong. I think it might result, because of their engine failures last year, I think it might result in a much more reliable season. But I think, as we'll see with the team we're going to talk about in a minute, a focus on fixing last year's problems can maybe not result in the fastest car. So who knows? Maybe Alpine are there for the taking a little bit this year. And now we'll move on to that other team, which I was talking about, who had a little bit of a problem today. That is Mercedes. George Russell stopping on track earlier. Mercedes, we had both people under the car, both drivers, both people. Won't get away with that. We got Russell on a 1 minute 33.73 on a C3 tyre, 26 laps. Hamilton, 1 minute 33.95, C3 tyre, 72 laps. Now, the Mercedes very much seem to have fixed the porpoising issue. We saw they were measuring this yesterday. They had a little sensor on the car measuring oscillations. And that's great. It's great not to have bouncing, but you're seeing the car go around and you're really hoping it's sandbags, but you're also kind of thinking maybe this car just isn't that fast. What are your thoughts?
I think a lot of people had high hopes for Mercedes. And apart from today, so this afternoon, before that, I think actually their test was going really smoothly. Like you said, they got rid of the porpoising and just generally they were getting lots of laps in. It was going well. Obviously, then George had the hydraulics issue earlier this afternoon, which made for some funny memes that I made, if I do say so myself, about parachutes. But it didn't very go. Okay, I'll say that again. Didn't go down.
It's not live. We can
It
just
didn't go down very well in the
fine.
comments.
You're okay, Hannah. You're okay.
Yeah, I think I'm okay. But generally, Mercedes are not looking very promising, unfortunately. But sandbagging?
Sandbagging, maybe. Just as I put up a lovely image of the car being covered with a blanket like it's died. I think, I'm glad the bouncing issue sorted out. It's a big theme of the first few episodes of Drive to Survive. And the physical pain Lewis was in, you can see him holding his back a lot. Like if I get an injury, I want people to know about it. So I'm constantly drawing attention to it. It felt a little bit like that. But I think you just look at I'm going to mention the Aston Martin again. And that's not because I'm comparing the Mercedes as more of a realistic target against the Aston Martin than I am against Red Bull and Ferrari.
Oh, no.
The Aston Martin just looks nimble. Using quick is a terrible word when analysing Formula One, but we suspect it might be because the Aston's coming in a lot lighter, possibly the lightest on the grid at the moment. We don't really know. We'll figure that out as time goes by. But the Mercedes just looks heavy. Like it's down to fuel loads, sure. Could be an element of sandbagging, but I'm not as confident as that of sandbagging as I am with Red Bull and Ferrari. So it's interesting, but even Toto seems to think that a win next week is very unlikely. But we'll see. A lot can happen during the season. Let's move on to Ferrari. Now, Hannah told me she had one note about Ferrari before this stream started. Hannah, what was your one note?
My note was Carlos seems quite happy with how the tests are going. From the outside, it seems like it's pretty smooth sailing, which is true, I guess. They've gone a bit under the radar for this test, especially today, I think.
And I think after last year, probably going under the radar is quite nice. After the season we had Sainz 1 minute 32.48 on a C3 with 70 laps. Leclerc on a 1 minute 32.72 on a C3 tyre with 68 laps. Do you have any more feelings that weren't jotted down onto the notepad?
I feel that they're probably looking a bit stronger than what is wrong with me today? Mercedes. And it's looking like, based off of today and yesterday, it's looking like possibly a Ferrari and Red Bull rivalry this season. But we can't, take it as it is. It's only day 2 and all of that. But that's how it's looking.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. That's looking like the start of the season. But we've got to remember 2021 when that Mercedes upgrade mid-season just became a rocket. And I think last season the problem was they had this inherent issue with the bouncing that just stopped any other development of the car. Like, nothing, obviously, they improved as the season went on, but there's only so far you can go from the position they were in. Now, with the rebuild to fix that problem, it feels like there's definitely room for improvement with Mercedes if it ends up coming out a fairly solid third to the other two as the season goes off. Starts, that's the word. That's what I was looking for. But I think they're not out of it. I think even if we see a slow Mercedes for the first few races, they've now got a basis they can improve on, but they are just behind in time and resource compared to the other two teams because of that. But yeah, Ferrari, I think you want to be going under the radar in these things. You're not looking bad. You're not doing anything wrong. Nothing's breaking. We had a couple of issues with their parts with Haas on the throttle yesterday. But other than that, Ferrari looking fairly good. And I think sandbagging is pretty evident here. I feel fairly confident saying that. And finally, we will move on to Red Bull. I'll just run you through the times we had. We had Verstappen do a 1 minute 31.65 on a C3 tyre, 47 laps. Perez on a 1 minute 33.75, 76 laps. What do you reckon, Hannah? What do you make of today?
I mean, Red Bull were just dominating as usual. I think I did expect that going into these, few days of testing. But they're just looking really, really powerful and really quick. Oh no, I said the word quick. I'll say speedy instead.
Fine.
I'll say the word speedy. They were doing a lot of work on Max's car this afternoon. They had, the screens up, which suggests to me a big job, but I don't think it's because something's wrong with the car. They're probably just experimenting a bit. I mean, tomorrow to me is just going to be another Red Bull, domination, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think they just look complete. It just looks like a complete car that even if sandbagging is taking place, which we have to assume from the team who are most likely to be in the best position. Well, what have I done?
No, it's true.
Oh, okay. It was just.
You haven't done anything.
It was a lovely outward giggle. I thought I thought my kettle had fallen over or something. Because yes, I am in my kitchen, but this is the last time. I promise. But yeah, it just looks like a complete car. Max is just on another level, and I struggle to see any way in which tomorrow, when we get more realistic sort of race pace runs, I just struggle to see how anyone's going to pop up and surprise them. And I know I've seen a lot of people talking about this, saying, oh, well, obviously they've spent way more money to overdevelop the car. I really don't think that's the case. I hate to break it to you. I just don't think that's happened. I think they've just come upon this formula that suits Max perfectly. I don't think it'll suit Checo perfectly, and I think that may lead to some struggles later in the season. But maybe that's too bold a prediction to mention on this summary stream. But yeah, we've come to the end of this stream. Just as a roundup, that was 2 days of testing action that we've had. And tomorrow we will be back doing this same thing. This is just a test. We're just trying to figure out how to best not Twitch, can't say that on here, how to best stream these things and bring you the updates from the action, whilst also getting back some views that for some reason we seem to lose.
I wonder why.
Definitely not taking it personally. And I definitely don't have a boring voice. But thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And if you're watching this on YouTube later, thank you also. Have a lovely day. So it's a goodbye from Hannah.
Goodbye.
And it's a goodbye.